Now, we've all heard about Glasgow and the mighty Clyde, the powerhouse of the empire, but with the shipyards all but closed, who's coming up with the new inventions that will keep the city's wheels turning? Lindsey, Fallow and David Wardell have been up to the Green City to find out.
This week, Inventions Plus comes from Glasgow, and I am standing under the 165-foot-high Finniston crane. This is a city landmark built in 1931 and which was capable of lifting 175 tons in its heyday. Now, it dominates the skyline here, but before we meet this week's inventors, David Wardell looks into an invention which could have changed the image of Glasgow forever.
This incredible monorail device was invented by George Benny. It enjoyed a brief burst of glory in the 1930s. It was called the RailPlane, and an experimental track 426 feet long was built above a railway line in Mulgai near Glasgow. Powered by aircraft propellers and with its incredibly streamlined shape, it could achieve speeds of 120 miles an hour. Sadly, all that's left of the RailPlane is now this model. The original was sold for scrap in the 1960s. The RailPlane is a good example of an idea that was perhaps before its time. But anyone with a bit of foresight can adapt an idea and build a prototype.
This is Will Biggott, and this is your collapsible wheelbarrow. Why were you thinking about wheelbarrows?
Well, it's actually my friend. He actually had a rusty old wheelbarrow in his back garden, and I used to sort of set it in and everything. It's just fallen to bits. And I saw this laundry basket actually folded up flat, and I thought you could make a wheelbarrow out of that.
So a collapsible wheelbarrow, now how does it collapse?
Oh, it's pretty easy. You just tip it on its side, remove one wing nut, remove the wheel, hold it flat and take off the washer.
And then you can store that pretty much anywhere. Are you thinking marketing it yourself?
I'm hopefully trying to get a patent onto it, and then I'm going to actually try and develop the actual wheelbarrow and hopefully sell it on to someone with design.
Good luck with it. Thank you very much for bringing it in today, and we'll try and get you some expert advice. So, what do you reckon?
Well, I think he's done some great work on this project. There's a few problems though. Firstly, this is one of those inventions that comes up time and time and time again. There have been, I've probably seen about one or two a year, collapsible wheelbarrows.
Really?
Yeah. So he's going to have huge problems if he tries to get some form of protection on it. Also, he's made another classic error, which is he's entered a competition before he's tried to protect his position.
No.
So, unfortunately, patenting is out. There are a few design flaws with it, but that's good because he's using it as a learning process. There is still potentially a product there, but in terms of classic protection of an invention to take it somewhere, it's a difficult one, and there is lots of what we call prior art. People have had this idea time and time and time again.
Do you think that if you could get beyond that and get over the patenting and things, do you think it's viable as a product?
I think it's viable as a product. It's a slightly different design to some of the ones I've seen before. The problem is that it's limited to the garden market because, of course, you can't carry heavy bricks or anything else in there. And funnily enough, one of the areas that they've been trying to crack, and the reason for collapsible wheelbarrows, is that builders have a huge problem putting wheelbarrows in the backs of vans. I think the main thing for William with this is he's used this as a project. It's inspired him. He wants to do other things. He's going on to A-levels. And like every invention, what he's done is he's found a problem, he's tried to solve it in a new way. So what he's learnt from this project, he can use in the future, I'm sure.
Well, that's it for this week from Glasgow, but before I go, I've got one last thing to show you. This is really cool. It's called Skins, and it's a digital hand drum. Now, its inventors, David and Ben, claim that it challenges the conventional way in which electronic music is performed and created. It's tactile, like a normal drum, but you can use it to generate and manipulate advanced digital sounds. Sounds pretty cool. And before Ben plays us out, one last thing remains to be said. For details of any of the inventions featured on this week's show, please check out our website at www.ukhorizons.co.uk. Go for it, Ben.
it for part 2 of tomorrow's World Plus.